Hello dear students, today we are going to read the chapter The Sermon at Benares, and this is written by Betty Renshaw. The Sermon at Benares. This chapter is about the sermon. Sermon means the pious or religious talks or lectures, updesh or pravachan as we call it. So given by Gautam Buddha, the first sermon given by Gautam Buddha in Benares. Okay, so let's start. Gautam Buddha, 563 BC to 483 BC, began life as a prince named Siddhartha Gautam. You must have already know the Gautam Buddha's life story. He was a prince named Siddhartha in northern India. At 12, he was sent away for schooling in Hindu's sacred scriptures to study the holy pious books of Hindu religion, and 4 years later he returned home and married a princess. They had a son and lived for 10 years as befitted royalty, means as it is suitable for royalty, living a royal life. At about the age of 25, the prince, heretofore, means till then, shielded from the suffering, he was uh, protected from the sufferings of the world. He did not know about any pain and suffering of the world. But while out hunting once, by chance, he saw a sick man, then an aged man, then a funeral procession of a dead body, and finally a monk begging for alms. So these sights so moved him that he at once went out into the world to seek enlightenment, to seek the knowledge, a state of high spiritual knowledge concerning the sorrows he had witnessed, he has seen. He wandered for 7 years and finally sat down under a peepal tree or what tree, where he vowed to stay until enlightenment came. He swore that he would not get up till he gets that spiritual knowledge. Enlightened after 7 days, so he got that enlightenment, that knowledge in 7 days. After that, he renamed the tree the Bodhi tree, the tree of wisdom, and began to teach and to share his new understandings. At that point, he became known as the Buddha, the awakened, which means, or the enlightened, knowledgeable. The Buddha preached his first sermon at the city of Benares, the most holy of the dipping places where the people have holy baths on the river Ganga. That sermon has been preserved, what he gave that day there, and is given here. It reflects the Buddha's wisdom about one indestructible kind of suffering. So here that is in here it is a story related with that sermon, and that is indestructible means which cannot be understood kind of suffering of our life. It is the wisdom about that. So here it is. Kisa Gautami had an only son and he died. In her grief, she cried. She carried the dead child to all her neighbors, asking them for medicine. And people said, "She has lost her senses. The boy is dead." At length, after some time, Kisa Gautami met a man who replied to her request, "I cannot give three medicines, give you, thee means you, medicines for the child. But I know a physician who can." And the girl said, "Pray tell me, please tell me, sir, who it is." And the man replied, go to Shakyamuni, the Buddha. The other name was also Shakyamuni. Kisa Gautami repaired to Buddha, means went to Buddha, and cried, Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my boy. The Buddha answered, I want a handful of mustard seed. And when the girl, in her joy, promised to procure it, means girl was happy that it is only asking for mustard seed, so she said, okay, I will get it. Then Buddha added, Buddha said, the mustard seed must be taken from a house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent, or friend. Means you get it from some house where nobody has died. Poor Kisa Gautami now went from house to house, and the people pitied her, showing kindness to her, and said, here is mustard seed, take it. But when she asked, did a son or daughter, father or mother die in your family? They answered, alas, the living are few, but the dead are many. Do not remind us of our deepest grief. And there was no house, but some beloved one had died in it. Means she did not find any house where nobody died. Kisa Gautami became weary and hopeless. She lost all her hope. She became tired also, and sat down at a wayside watching the lights of the city as they flickered up and were extinguished again. Those lights she was watching, and she considered the fate of man. Then she thought about the fate of man, the fortune of man, that their lives flicker up and are extinguished again. It is just like that, those lights which lit up and then go off. And she thought to herself, how selfish am I in my grief. Death is common to all, yet in this valley of desolation, in this valley of hopelessness, there is a path that leads him to immortality who has surrendered all selfishness. Means the person who surrenders all his selfishness, that person can lead to a path which takes them to immortality. The Buddha said, the life of mortals in this world, mortals mean those who have to die someday. The life of mortals in this world is troubled and brief and combined with pain, for there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. There is nothing, everybody has to die. After reaching old age, there is death. Of such a nature are living beings. As ripe fruits are early in danger of falling, so mortals, when born, are always in danger of death. As all earthen vessels made by the potter end in being broken, means all those earthen vessels, pots the potter makes, one day they also break. So is the life of mortals, we humans, both young and adult, both those who are fools and those who are wise, all fall into the power of death. All are subject to death. Everybody has to die someday. Of those who, overcome by death, depart from life, a father cannot save his son, nor kinsmen their relations, even no relatives can save their other relations, nor neither a father can save the son. Mark means remember, while relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, one by one mortals are carried off like an ox that is led to the slaughter. While relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, means showing their grief when somebody dies, and they sometime when the dead body is carried like an ox is carried for slaughtering, but so the world is afflicted with death and decay. The world is affected by the death and the decay, the state of rotting. Therefore, the wise do not grieve, the wise people do not think about its pain, they do not indulge in sorrow, knowing the terms of the world, because they know this is how the world goes. Not from weeping nor from grieving will anyone obtain peace of mind. Nobody can get peace of mind by weeping or showing grief. On the contrary, on the opposite, his pain will be the greater and his body will suffer by this weeping and grieving. He will make himself sick and pale. Yet the dead are not saved by this lamentation, and even by lamenting like this, by weeping over those dead, they cannot be saved. He who seeks peace, the person who is in search of peace of mind, he should draw out of the arrow of lamentation and complaint and grief. He has to take away these things: lamentation, complaint, grief. He who has drawn out the arrow and has become composed will obtain peace of mind. The person who overcomes these complaint, grief, lamentation, he gets the peace of mind, and he who has overcome all sorrow will become free from sorrow, and we will be blessed. Okay, as I told, written by Betty Renso. Here the topic completes, and we will also be doing its question answers. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Bye bye.